Hello everyone. Hello. Hello. Right. So should we start?
Yes, sir.
Hello everyone. My name is Amit Madan. On behalf of Amritsar Founders, I welcome you all. Topic for today's webinar is how to build your brand by Mr. Raghav Khanna. So before going live, I should introduce Mr. Raghav Khanna with you. Mr. Raghav Khanna is the co-founder of Dilemmas Diluted, a digital marketing agency that helps businesses create an online presence, caters to a team of young, enthusiastic, and creative minds, specializes in online marketing services, brand creation on the internet, and develop mobile application and websites. Having catered to more than 150 clients in a span of only 4 years, Dilemmas Diluted now has offices in Amritsar, New Delhi, and Gurugram. So, dear, we'll be taking Q&A in the end of session. We can write your question in the chat section. So now I'm passing it over to Mr. Raghav Khanna. Mr. Raghav Khanna, please take the charge. Thank you.
Thank you, Amitji, for a lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. Hope all of you are well and taking all the necessary precautions in these testing times. Before we begin with our session today, I would love to know more about my audience here. So if you guys can comment what industry you belong to, and that will be great. And also if you can keep something handy to write down, will be beneficial throughout the webinar as we'll be discussing few key points. Saib, can you change the slide? Next slide, Saib. So let's begin by understanding what is branding. So branding is a process through which your customers, clients, or users perceive and connect with your product or service. So let's take an example of Bisleri. For decades and even now, Bisleri has been a synonym for water bottle. Whenever we need a water bottle, majority of us say Bisleri dena. So this is the impact that branding efforts of Bisleri has left on all of us. We are so naturally connected with the brand that we always ask Bisleri dena no matter what the brand we get. But whenever we need a water bottle, we are like Bisleri de do. So this is the importance of branding. Saib, can you please change the slide? So I'm sure all of you can recognize these logos. But what you see is just the visual appearance of this brand. Branding is a lot more. Branding is the what, how, and why of your company. So what you see, just a logo, is just the tip of the iceberg. So whenever we think of a brand, the visual appearance of it, naturally comes to our mind. But a lot of it goes behind it, and it takes years to build the brands that we know. For example, if we take Coca-Cola in mind, it started in 1892. So it's been like more than hundreds of years for this brand to get into our minds. So Saib, can you change the next slide? So let's discuss few interesting facts about a few of the brands that we know. So like Geo, the brand name which now is in everybody's mind and throughout the social media, internet, and all the advertisements. So it's a mirror image of the word oil. So that's how Geo got its name. The arrow in Amazon, which I'm sure everybody knows about from A to Z, means that they sell everything from A to Z, and also brings the smiles on everyone's face because the arrow shows a smile. Similarly, if you would happen to know this figure, which is a mascot of McDonald's, so a lot of us know that McDonald's has a famous arc-like logo, which has been very famous throughout the times. And now the Ronald McDonald, which is the mascot for the McDonald's, is the second most recognizable fictional character after Santa Claus. Now, this is a major achievement. This character has been in everybody's mind, and it's just second after Santa Claus. So this is a major achievement which has been achieved through branding, and McDonald has done it perfectly. So, so yes. So again, we can talk about such facts all day, but let's now focus on building your brand, for which we are here. I hope everyone is paying attention and has something handy to note down, as you'll have to ask some questions to yourself. So let's start. So creating a brand is not an easy process. A lot of time and efforts are put into it. So we are going to talk about all the steps that as a business owner, founder needs to take in order to build a brand. The first step is asking yourself, why does your company exist? Or for that matter, if you are just starting, why should your company exist? What is the problem you are trying to solve? Similarly, what makes you different than the rest? What are your USPs? What is bringing to the market, which nobody else is doing, or what is your special point? Similarly, why should people care about your company? So there are a lot of other brands that would be in the market as compared to your products and services. So why should people care about your company? So these are some questions that you need to ask yourself before we go ahead with the visuals, the colors, the taglines. So these are the basic questions that you need to answer yourself before we start with the extensive brand building. To make this easy for you, Saib, can you please change the next slide? So to make this easy for you, we'll be doing a SWOT analysis. So I think most of us would be knowing what a SWOT analysis is. But for those who don't know, it's highlighting your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So while we discuss this, I would like everyone to note down one strength, one weakness, one opportunity, and one threat for your brand. And this is for your own information. I mean, it's not to be shared with us. But again, this would really help you to further uh, cement your brand. So let's begin with discussing the strengths. So strengths can be anything that your company does well. These are the qualities that separate you from your competitors. It also could be the internal resources such as skilled, knowledgeable staff, your team. These can be your strengths. Many more of these can be your strengths, but I'm just giving some normal examples. Similarly, if we talk about weaknesses, these are the things that your company lacks. These can also be the resource limitations. This is also your competitors, things that your competitors are doing well than you. Also, your USPs are not clear to you. What exactly are your USPs is not clear to you, is considered as a weakness. And maybe you are getting a lot of customer complaints that you need to look into. So these are also your weaknesses. Next, if we talk about opportunities, it can be underserved market for specific products, like something you are bringing new to the market. You are the first player in that market. Emerging need of your product or services, new trends that are coming in the market, and there are few competitors in your areas. So things like these are an opportunities. For almost all of us, COVID-19 imposed a major threat, but for few, it became an opportunity, like grocery stores, manufacturers of sanitizers and masks, and stuff like that. So it became an opportunity for such services. Similarly, many of organizations who had COVID-19 as a threat converted it into an opportunity, which is great. This is how you need to think about your brand and how you can take it to next level, even in the case of a situation like COVID-19. So moving ahead, the further we are going to discuss about the threats. So threats are any emerging competitors in your area, any kind of negative press or media coverage, or similarly any kind of negativity on social media. It can be also be your changing customer attitude towards your company, and maybe social and technological changes that can affect what you do. So any kind of such changes are a threat to your company. So the main purpose of this exercise is to create more opportunities, eliminate threats, work on weaknesses, and further cement your strengths. So taking an Saib, can you shift the slide? The next one, Saib. Uh, the previous one, in fact. Yes, thank you. So taking an example of a fictional restaurant, we'll be just discussing about their SWOT analysis. So this restaurant is at a very good location and a well-trafficked location. It's considered as a strength. Similarly, they have a good reputation among their local community. They have locally sourced fresh ingredients that they are using to create the dishes in their menu. Similarly, what could be the weaknesses? The weaknesses are higher cost as compared to chain restaurants. They are not able to compete with restaurants like McDonald's, Burger King. So they are that's the weakness, because they have higher costs, whereas those chain restaurants have their processes and their resources all very well managed. So their costing is comparatively low. Again, single location for this restaurant means lesser reach, and they have a limited advertising budget, so they cannot advertise a lot as compared to their competitors. And they are also not currently using any kind of food delivery apps like Zomato, Swiggy, and no, neither they are delivering on their own. So this is their weaknesses. Similarly, if we talk about opportunities, so opportunities for this restaurant can be the growing interest in international cuisines. So, like we all know, recently a trend of experimenting with food and everything is going on, and all of us like to try new cuisines, be it Mexican, continental, etc. So this is an opportunity for restaurants who's still dealing with traditional Indian food, and they have the caliber to scale themselves to deliver more such qualities of food from international standards. So similarly, if we talk about more opportunities, can be increase in demand from other areas of the town. So like if we all are sitting in Amritsar, if we talk about a restaurant in Ajit Avenue and they analyze that a major crowd, comes from a gated city of our city, Amritsar. So that's an area that they need to pitch into. So maybe they can think of maybe just to start with opening a takeaway in those areas, and eventually scale it to a full-fledged dine-in. So this is an opportunity. Similarly, the potential for growth is through food delivery apps. So if a restaurant these days are not on food delivery, they are missing a lot. They are missing a lot, and they need to grab this opportunity as soon as possible. So, discussing further, what could be the threats to this restaurant? Again, intensive competition from established chain restaurants is a major threat to this restaurant. Rising cost of ingredients, the raw material that they use, that's am I audible? So the further threat can be the loss of reputation through negative feedback, as we discussed earlier. Also, the negative feedback really leads to loss of reputation, and there is a need to manage that you don't get negative feedback, especially on online channels, because that really uh, does a major negative impact on your all over reputation. So I hope you all have done a short SWOT analysis for your brand. Again, it's a time consuming and a thought provoking exercise, and all of it can't be done here while we are on this webinar. But my effort here is to just help you get started with it. So I hope I have made what a SWOT analysis is clear. So moving ahead, Sahib, if you can change the slide. So moving ahead, our next step is to identify our target audience or target group. So what is your target audience? What does that mean? So target audience is the people that you're going to target, and the age group, the demographics, the lifestyle, the behavior of your audience that will be willing to buy your product or services. So those are your target audience, and they you need to really work on your target and audience and identify the key areas where they are usually present, like the social media platforms they are using, what kind of purchase behavior that they have. So similar research needs to be done. So once you have done this exercise, you have your probable customers defined, that these are my probable customers, and I need to target them through further marketing and advertisements. For brands that are already existing in market, you have a customer base already. So you need to analyze the answers to the following questions. Saib, can you change the slide? So yes, for the brands that already have a current customer or a client base, we need to answer these following questions: that why do your customers buy from you? What is the USP that you provide to your customers? What kind of customers, what product or service your customers purchase the most from you? Similarly, what product or services is your best seller? So answering these questions will help you define your target audience particularly, and understand how to reach more target groups, and also retarget those who are already your customers, so that they don't move on to your competitor. So such questions will help you analyze this. So once you have this analyzed, you know that what is your best selling product or service. Also, what needs to be what all you need to do to keep them coming to you. Again, taking the example of a restaurant, I'm sure everybody has been to a restaurant, and if your restaurant is able to analyze what is your favorite menu, what are the dishes that you frequently order. So whenever you go there next time, and the waiter comes to you and asks, so may I order your your favorite dishes, or you want to try something new? So that kind of personal touch that a restaurant can give is very special, and it's though it's a common practice, but still very not seen much effectively being used here. So moving ahead, we have your target audience identified now, and now we move towards researching on your competitors. Saib, can you change the slide, please? So now you need to research on your competitors. So be aware what your competition is doing. Uh, I think the slide has stopped sharing. Saib, can you look into it? So while we get the slide back, I would like to think about your three competitors in your mind. Uh, think about what all they do in, and research them based on the brand identity. Like you must have seen their logos, you must have seen their marketing material, you must have seen their advertisements. You also know probably what kind of customers they are catering to, and you need to identify what you can do better from them. Also, you need to identify the weaknesses so that you can play that around, and get better from them, get better than them, and have more reach towards your target audience. Similarly, you need to work on researching the products and services they are offering, and what are the key points for the that they are using for their own branding. This would help you analyze that these are the key points that you need to do for your branding. What are the USPs? What are your okay? I think I'll just give me a second. I'll share the. So yes, as we were talking about researching or about your competitors. So these are the following areas where you need to research on regarding your competitors. The brand identity, the product or service they are offering, the website user experience they are using, the what kind of content they are publishing, social media they are using, and what kind of content they are publishing on social media, what kind of advertisements they are using, it's print, display, for the PPC ads, radio or TV channels they are targeting, or they are just using the direct mail services. So these are the key areas that you need to research your competitors on. So moving ahead, we'll be further working on forming the brand voice. So what is a brand voice? The brand voice is basically your company's mission, audience, and industry all catered into a small piece of work. That's how basically how you communicate with your customers and how they respond to you. You want, and again, you want to choose a brand voice that makes sense and also resonates with your target audience. And if you are create using the correct voice, you have the strongest chance of connecting with your consumers. So we're going to do a small exercise here. I hope everyone has some kind of medium to write or just comment here. So this is a demo where we'll be creating a 10-second voice for your brand, and basically it's a small pitch that while you're talking to someone, if you want to explain what does your brand do in a very short period of time, so what kind of you data you need to prepare. So an example I'll be taking here of my own company. So I is if you are a personal brand, and B if you are a company. Help small and medium sized businesses to create a presence online so that they can generate quality leads and increase their sales. So this is a very small pitch, but very effective, and it directly resonates with my audience, and I am directly able to tell them what I do and what I can do for them. So similarly, I would like everyone who have joined me on this webinar to create a small piece of work like this for your own brand, and share with us on the comments. Let's take a minute and let's have some comments coming, and we can then discuss those.
For the time, I would like to request all audience or viewers to type in their questions and queries in the comment box, please.
So Amit ji, do we have any responses on this small piece of brand voice?
Till now, there's no response in front of me.
Okay, we'll just check on YouTube and Facebook as well.
So we are getting the responses over the platform now. So first
Mm.
response is from Mr. Namit. I help educational business to increase leads and bring more admissions.
Oh, that's great, Namit, and very well curated. So similarly, this is a very small exercise where you can, immediately connect with your target audience and help them understand what exactly do you do and how you can help them. So any other responses, Miji, or shall we
Yes,
move ahead?
yes, there's one more response from Mr. Guneet Singh. Mr. Guneet is saying that I help architecture community to showcase their projects and works so that they can get excel in their field.
Yes, amazing, Guneet. So this is a this would really help you. This small exercise would really help you to pitch anyone you are just meeting for a few seconds, and you have very less time to tell about your brand and target them and make them your customer. So moving ahead, I like to further share about the brand identity. So when we talk about brand identity, the brand identity is how people look into your brand. Like for example, for most of us, brand identity is just the logo. But however, it's basically the consistency that brands use throughout all the platforms, be it just social media, be it their website, be it the newsletters, or they are just doing some offline advertisement. So this is the kind of brand identity that you need to create, and the consistency is the key, which is very important to remember that the consistency is the key. So whatever you decide initially is very important that you follow that throughout, because again rebranding is a very costly affair, and most of the brands that they do rebranding have to pay heavy costs. So it's better if initial time and cost is spent on creating the first thing close to perfect, so that eventually you don't have to rebrand. So things like this, like the brand identity, the logo designing, the taglines that should you should use. Again, we have a lot of examples of taglines, be it Coca-Cola, which has a tagline that "Thanda matlab Coca-Cola," and such. These taglines tell a story. That just reading the tagline, you can understand what exactly they want to tell. Similarly, you all of you must have heard about LIC. So they have a very perfect tagline, "Zindagi ke saath bhi and Zindagi ke baad bhi." So this exactly tells what the brand is doing. Similarly, if we take an example of, for example, Sprite, "Bujaye pyas, baki all bakwas." So now this is also taking a dig into your competitors, very cleverly. But again, they have made the point clear that Sprite only does the work that you want it to do, and the other brands don't do it as effectively. So your brand colors, your brand logo, your brand tagline has to be very perfect, and the same voice has to be consistent throughout your brand, throughout the channels that you are using. So again, my major purpose here was to help you think about your brand in a way that many of us usually in the hustle and bustle of a life, forget about it, and just we are focusing on कि logo कैसा दिख रहा है, या इसकी marketing अच्छी हो रही है कि नहीं हो रही है, and what are the colors that we are using. But a lot of it has to go beyond that, which is the kind of voice you are using. The SWOT analysis is simple exercise. So all this, if initially done, would really help you create the further brand. When we talk about the identity part of it, the marketing part of it, the advertisement part of it, that would be really helpful if you do these exercises initially. So initial time spent will really pay off while you are thinking of creating a brand, or just you already have a brand but you never give thought of your brand on these lines. So I think this small webinar of mine was a bit helpful in explaining the how you should start building your brand. Again, we have done SWOT analysis. We have helped you identify your target audience. We have helped you research your competitors, create a brand voice for your brand, and then further work on your brand identity. And moving ahead, you can definitely work on the brand marketing, brand advertisement, and all. My purpose here was to make you think about your brand, and reaching out from taking the brand from brand identity to brand marketing and advertisement can be catered but for you by the professionals. So but the initial thought that needs to go for basic creating the basics of your brand has to be you, has to be the founder of your organization or the director of your organization, and you need to sit with your partners and analyze all these steps, so that moving ahead all the professionals that you bring into the team are able to understand the vision of your company and are totally able to resonate that through their own work. So that's all, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks again to Amritsar Founders to helping me with this webinar. And again, I am available. You can feel free to reach me on these email IDs and social media platforms. Thank you so much once again. I hope the webinar were useful. And moving ahead, you will be able to think about a brand in a more different way that so that it grows further. And I wish all the very best to all of you. Thank you so much, Amit ji. We
Thank you,
can
Mr.
have open
Raghav.
questions.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Raghav. Thank you so much. It was really a wonderful session, and you have explained very well regarding the branding and marketing part. And now I would request all audience or all viewers to type in their queries if they have. So now there'll be a Q&A session only. Let's be quick, viewers. I'm getting the responses here. Yes. Mr. Raghav, there's a first query from Mr. Sahib Pritse. Sorry, Mr. Namit Kapoor. How logo colors affect the branding of a company?
Yes, a
Please.
very good question indeed. The logo colors are, totally resonates with the kind of target audience you have. So it's very important to have a professional on board to, understand the psychology of the colors that your brand is going to use. Every color has its own psychological impact on on the users that are seeing those colors. So you like you would see that major of the brands use colors like red and blue. That the Facebook also has a blue color, and if you talk about KFC has a red color. Similarly, if we are on a if we talk about taxi and cabs, they always have a yellow color in it because that's something yellow can you can basically see it from afar. So whenever you talk about cabs or something like these, so you always find a yellow color in it. So the color impacts a lot, and it's very important that you totally understand the psychology behind it and go with the right colors while you're choosing the colors for your brand. Thank you.
Thank you. There's one more question for Mr. Gagan at Zoom application. The question is, please suggest things to revamp an old brand.
Okay. Yes, Gaganji. So, like we discussed today, that the brand you need to create a brand voice initially. So, when we are talking about revamp, also you need to take all the initial steps again and talk about your brand think about your brand in a way that you can relate to. And similarly, eventually, you for the brand identity part of it, you'll need to have a professional on board that can relate to your brand voice and understand the brand personality that you want to showcase to your target audience and help you create that brand personality and voice through brand identity. So it's the first step again I would say is to understand ask the necessary questions to yourself like first of all, why do you want to revamp? What is that you're lacking? And what are your competitors that are doing better than you? Again, what is your target audience so that you can identify the right channels to reach out to your target audience. Similarly, a SWOT analysis would definitely help you. And again, creating the brand voice and thinking about your brand as a person would really help you understand how to revamp it. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we are getting a lot of questions again. The next question is from Mr. Preet. So Mr. Preet is asking how to bring revolution in thinking of our local audience to make them understand the importance of branding and marketing. Please.
Okay, so again, I would like to tell Sahib that this is these are the steps that we need to take initially. because again, locally we need to make people understand the importance of branding, and what others do better than us, so that we are lacking in. So this is the kind of webinars like this would really help to reach out to your audiences, and help them understand the importance of branding, and also help them understand how you can make your brand perfect. So these are few steps that we discussed today, that anyone who is owning a company, or even if he or she is a personal brand, needs to take to create a brand personality out of it, and reach out to their target audience. And if you talk about the local community again, a lot of the local community maybe wouldn't know about all this. So that's why we are doing this webinar, that so that we can reach out to them and help them further grow their brands. Thank you.
So our next question is from Mr. Rohit. So Mr. Rohit is asking that is there any basic fundamentals to go online before knowing the branding part?
Sorry, sir, can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, Mr. Rohit is asking, is there any kind of basic fundamentals to go online before branding?
Basic fundamentals to go online before branding.
Yeah, let me check, Mr. What is Mr. Rohit asking now?
uh, I think
Mr. Rohit, can you please re-explain the question? Yes. Now, next question from Mr. Sumit. Mr. Sumit is asking, please tell us more about naming of your brand Dilemmas Diluted. This question is personally for you, Mr. Raghav. How did
yes,
you come
again,
up with this?
we have a story behind it again. So me and my partners, while we were in college, we named this brand, and we were initially five of us. And so we decided to do something, to create a change. We were not very sure of what kind of services or products we'll be bringing into the market, but we were just open to thoughts of doing something. But we were in college, very energetic to make some revolutionize the world, the kind of aura that we have at that time. So we were all sitting and chatting, and we were like coming up with words that help solve people's problem. So that's how we concluded with the words. We first started with dilemmas, like everybody has a dilemma, and that's how the dilemma came into the mind. And then the further word diluted, that we wanted to help people to dilute their dilemmas. So that's how the brand name came into picture. And that's a short story that happened way back in I guess around 2010. So that's where we started our brand name. And again, this was a very unique name, and usually people prefer the basic names that people can easily understand. But again, we wanted to showcase our brand as a very revolutionizing brand, and it's out of the box thinking. So our name totally resonates with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Raghavji. And this is too clear from your session also that your name should be very unique, and so with you also. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next question is from Mr. Karan. Mr. Karan Sidhu is asking, uh, please tell more about naming. Sorry, how do you suggest to do branding of an Ayurvedic masala to increase immunity? Should I repeat the question?
Okay. No, no, I got it. I got it. So the branding of an Ayurvedic masala to increase immunity, right? So
Yes.
again, this is something that has to be given a lot of thought. Understand the target audience. This is a very nice product these days, because everybody is trying to boost their immunity, and it's a very right time to pitch this such a product in the market. But again, if not done right, it might just backfire. So a lot of thought has to go beyond our discussion here today, that so that we can finalize on this. So maybe we can take this question offline and discuss further with Kanav, and help with the further planning of this Ayurvedic masala. And we can take this offline, Kanav, anytime. Thank you.
So the next question is from Mr. Pranav Mukherjee. Mr. Pranav is asking, what do you think about the scope and future of digital marketing from job perspective as many people are joining this field?
Okay. So according to me, digital marketing still has many years ahead of it, and especially when we talk about from a jobs perspective, there was a time when the basic IT jobs were so much widely open, and everybody just wanted to get into IT. Everybody just wanted to do BTech and get into computer sciences and everything. And we are almost, I believe, 10 or 15 years ahead of it now, and still there is a lot of scope in IT. So similarly, it's digital marketing. It's just taking its pace, but it would evolve over time. Again, if you don't have the required skills and the required experience to get a good job, then it's a problem. But unless you are very good at it and you have the experience, you are evolving with time, because digital marketing is ever evolving and you can't just stop learning. So every day it's a new atmosphere that you have to adjust into, because every day there's anything new coming up and a lot of new platforms also coming up. Any policy changes by the social media platforms just changes a lot of our strategies and everything. So it's a very evolving field, and if you are evolving with time, so definitely you can kill it with your skills. So I don't think so it's a dying, because a lot of people are doing. Again, if you are good at it, so you won't have a problem.
Thank you, Mr. Raghav. So there is last question from Mr. Rohit once again. He is
Mhm.
asking, is any prior experience required for marketing to go digital?
Okay. If you're talking about taking your brand digital, so I would suggest, if you don't have an experience doing that, to hire a professional on board to help you with that, because a professional would really be able to understand what needs to be done to go digital. And if you don't personally have that prior experience, and it's better to work on the initial part of your brand building that we discussed today, rather than the marketing part of it, because that can be handled by a professional very well. If you can resonate and tell your ideas to him directly through the process that we have just done in this webinar. And if you can just create something for that professional, it would really help him to further grow your brand digitally. Thank you.
So Mr. Rohit must have cleared all the doubts of him. And now all the questions are over. And thank you once again, Mr. Raghav, for this such a wonderful session.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
So next, I would like to explain little about Amritsar Founders also. So Amritsar Founders Association was founded with a view to promote high standards of business behavior based on ethical values and international work culture. Our mission is to empower young entrepreneurs, grow their ideas, generate employment, and organize market clutter with the holistic progress of standalone enterprises. So this is all about Amritsar founders, and our next session will be next webinar will be on Friday, that is 12th of June 2020, and the time will be the same, that is 7 p.m. And the topic for this webinar is how to design a work-friendly space in your home by Mr. Guneet Singh Khurana. I should repeat it. Topic for the webinar is how to design a work-friendly space in your home only by Mr. Guneet Singh Khurana. I hope you love this session. Hope to see you soon again in next session. Thank you so much. Thank you all audience as well as Mr. Raghav also. Thank you.